Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Through installment of Scout Selections here for Saturday, December 24th. For again today's play of the day. Quick recap what happened yesterday. We had a loss in college football with Wake Forest team total over 30.5 at minus 110 on Fox Bet. Unfortunately for us, Wake Forest won the game but did not score enough points as they only scored 27. Had a lot of possessions, couple short fields, but did nothing with it. Really wasn't that impressed with Wake Forest's offensive line, which struggled against a lot of backups for Missouri. But Wake Forest, I thought about taking them on the side, instead went with the team total and unfortunately made the wrong choice. But either way, look for a bounce back winner here on Saturday. And for today's play, then going to pivot to NFL Saturday, since there are a lot of games on today's card. And there's one real storyline going on in the NFL across the league, which is really, really bad weather, especially on the East Coast. A lot of low totals in the 30s, and we're going to take advantage of it because we're going to tease two unders. We're going to take a two-pick, 6.5-point teaser in order. We're going to take the Saints-Browns game, tease it from 32 to 38.5, and the Falcons-Ravens game, going to tease that from 34.5 to 41, and that two-pick teaser pays out at minus 120 on Bet Online. Time recording of 3 a.m. Eastern Time. Reasons why I like the under in both games. Starting off with the Saints-Browns game. Cleveland, we know in December, is supposed to have bad weather. However, I don't think anyone anticipated the weather to be this bad. And we know last week in Cleveland was not good in terms of weather as they faced off against the Ravens. This is probably the worst weather game of the season, and it's not even close. Going through the actual weather report, negative 21 degree wind chill with 29 mile per hour winds and 50, that's right, 50 mile per hour wind gusts. So throwing the ball in this game should be virtually impossible. Maybe a couple of checkdowns or passes in the flats on play action. Don't expect many deep shots, and field goal kicking should be an adventure in itself. I'm not sure either coach is really going to try unless they have no choice. But with that being the case, I expect to see a lot of running plays. We know that Cleveland loves to run the ball with Chubb and Hunt, so that's nothing new. And we know that New Orleans likes to run it with Kamara. However, since Andy Dalton's the quarterback, but they do have Taysom Hill on the roster, based on a line movement with Hill's props, a bunch of money and movement has come in on Hill's rushing yards. So it does seem like Taysom Hill might get a lot of running a lot of quarterback power. So expect to see a lot of really generic running plays from both teams, which should result in a lot of running clock. I'm not saying it's going to be like Army Navy exactly, where every play's a run, but it might be close to it. And I think you'll see each team probably run the ball 40 something times, and this game should really end quickly because of how much running clock there's going to be. But a total of 38.5 with the teaser. You're crossing over some key numbers here. That means in 50 mile per hour wind gusts, you need 5 touchdowns and a field goal just to get to 38. And to go over that, I just don't think is feasible. Now, the regular total of 32, game might go under that too, but that number's so low, I kind of decided to play it safe. But you're looking at most likely, I'd say, some game that lands in the teens or 20s. I don't think either coach will get too creative. Both coaches will probably play field position, hope their offensive lines dominate, and try to go from there. But the game in Baltimore last week that I mentioned in Cleveland, which was really bad weather, that game landed 16. And now this total, you can get a 38.5 with the teaser. That's good enough for me. I think you'll see Watson struggle again if he ever throws. Dalton might not throw also. His passing yards prop is dropped by about 30 yards. I think you'll see a very ugly game, which is why this total at 32 is one of the lowest totals in recent NFL history. But to move on to the second leg, going to take the Falcons-Ravens game under. Similar story to Cleveland, but the weather's not as bad. Still not good, though. The weather is supposed to be 3-degree wind chill with 15 mile per hour winds and 30 mile per hour wind gusts. The main issue besides the weather, though, is the quarterback play because Lamar Jackson is out once again, which means Tyler Huntley is behind center and he's taking on rookie Desmond Ridder. Huntley, since becoming the starter because of Lamar's injury, has really been awful, and the weather has not helped. Baltimore struggled to move the ball. They do want to run it with Dobbins and with Edwards. They might have some success, but that drains a lot of clock, and we know Baltimore is willing to really just milk the clock for all it's worth in order to win games. So I think you'll see a lot of potentially long drives by Baltimore, which should eat up 7+ minutes. But you're looking at Ridder, who was the starter last week, making his professional debut against the Saints in a dome, and he was awful. No way around it. 13 of 26, so he's not really accurate with the football, and it's going to be an issue outdoors in 30 mile per hour wind gusts. So Atlanta, we know, wants to run the ball as well. They have good running backs with Patterson, with Algier. I think you'll see a pretty similar game plan here where neither coach will trust his quarterback that much. and you'll see a lot of really ugly handoff drives, which should result in a lot of punts, a lot of running clock, and a very minimal number of points. But to go through the recent games for each team, 5 of Atlanta's last 6 games have had less than 41 points, and 5 of Baltimore's last games have also had less than 41 points. So regardless of who's at quarterback, whether it was Mariota, whether it was Lamar Jackson, both defenses have been better lately, and both offenses have really plummeted ever since the, I'd say, start of, or November, I should say, or the start of December. So with both offenses being really awful, and now you have backup quarterbacks in bad weather, I think we'll see another ugly game breakout here, probably finishing somewhere in the 20s, maybe even 30s. But I do think even if Baltimore is able to run it down Atlanta's throat, Baltimore's run defense, top 5 in the league. So I think Atlanta should really struggle to score points at all in this game, and they might drag down the total single-handedly. But I'll play it safe, and I'll tease the under. And I think as a result, you should see 2 ugly games with not much scoring, but hopefully they end up cashing us some profit. So once again, the play of the day is going to be a 2-pick, 6.5-point teaser. Going to take the Saints-Browns under 38.5 and the Falcons-Ravens under 41. And that 2-pick teaser pays at a -120 on Bet Online. Bye, everyone.